The Slamdance Film Festival is here. I am a huge fan of Slamdance. It is the kind of offshoot of the Sundance Film Festival. It was created by filmmakers, and they actually have a motto, by filmmakers, for filmmakers. And Slamdance is, for my money, one of my personal favorite film festivals because far fewer movies play at Slamdance than play at Sundance. So they've curated this incredible group of movies for their virtual event. They're also doing some drive-in events. And let's talk to one of the filmmakers who has a movie playing at Slamdance. Welcome to the Film Threat Podcast. I am Chris Gore, and I am pleased today to talk to the director of A Tiny Ripple of Hope. Jason Polevoi is here to talk to us. Jason, how you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Well, as I was saying in the intro, you're kind of part of an elite group of filmmakers because far fewer movies. I just know when I go see a movie at Slamdance, I'm in for something special because fewer movies. I mean, this is the film festival also that Christopher Nolan, his first movie, played at Slamdance. I know this because I got in a disagreement with him about something. We had not an argument, but just a disagreement on a panel. I'm pretty sure he won because everyone knows who Christopher Nolan is. Very few people know who I am, but I'm just saying, it is this birthplace of some really remarkably creative movies. And I consider Slamdance to be kind of the punk rock film festival where their choices are very bold and they tend to champion movies that are just not what you would expect. And your documentary, A Tiny Ripple of Hope, is really amazing. I mean,
thank you.
We should talk about Jahmal Cole, who is a force of nature, the positivity oozing out of him. I hate to say he's a kid. To me, maybe he's a kid because he's younger than I am, but he's just this ray of positivity. First of all, how did you find Jahmal and then convince him to trust you? Hey, I'm going to follow you in your life for a year because I want to expose people to what exactly it is that you're doing and the positive impact you're having on the community.
Yeah, I mean, before I met Jahmal and became the director to his subject, I was a fan of what he was doing in Chicago. The media likes to say all kinds of things about Chicago and portray us in a really specific way. And Jahmal was doing something that I felt could change that perception, and that was making change on the block level. Instead of trying to make these big sweeping changes across the state or across the country, Jahmal was saying, what can you do on your street? What can you do in your neighborhood? And I really liked that. And at the time, the way to support that was to buy a t-shirt or buy a hoodie with the logo, which is a great logo. And that money would go directly back to his program, which at the time was primarily involving kids that went to high school on the south and west sides of Chicago. And he would take those kids and after school field trips to different neighborhoods in the city. Oftentimes these kids never leave their block or their hood. That's where the name comes from. And Jahmal wanted to show them the city was also theirs. So he would take them downtown to the Sears Tower. He would take them to ethnically specific neighborhoods, like the neighborhood where all the great Indian food is, or the neighborhood where all the great Mexican food is, which is many neighborhoods in Chicago. And it would offer the kids opportunities to try new foods, meet new people, all kinds of amazing stuff like that. So I had a show at the time on WGN here in Chicago, and I booked Jahmal and some of the kids to be featured on the show, kind of a profile of him. And, we got to talking afterwards, and I said, what can I do to be more a part of my block, my hood, my city? And we got to talking, and he said, I'd really love to host a travel show. And I said, Jahmal, you're the busiest person I've ever met. Like, you don't have the capacity to host a travel show. I can assure you of that. And I said, what about if we did a documentary about you and about some of the kids in your program. And at the time, I didn't really know what the financial status of the program was, or how many kids were involved. It just felt like a good, positive story about Chicago to tell. And so that's kind of how we got connected, and how we started. And obviously, the film makes a pretty big 90-degree turn at one point. And that was unforeseen, but that's kind of one of the really fun and exciting things about being a documentary filmmaker, is you just kind of let the story take you where it wants to go.
Well, I have a couple thoughts. Isn't WGN is that where Ebert got his start? Am I wrong? Am I wrong about that?
In Chicago, but I don't know if it was WGN specifically, but it's Roger and Ebert were based in Chicago.
Oh my God! So
Roger Ebert and Siskel. Sorry,
Siskel and Ebert, whichever.
Yeah.
What's amazing about Jahmal is the fact that he exposed these kids to, just like a lot of these kids I could see were just sheltered in the sense that they stuck within the few blocks of where they lived. They didn't realize that they lived in this incredible city, Chicago. Just having traveled and spent time in Chicago from when I grew up in Michigan, we would go to Chicago, and just museums and cultural things to do, and just like the pizza. We could go on, but just being what's fun in the scenes that you showed with him spending time with the kids and just taking them places and showing them, look, this is your city. These are all options and possibilities. It just opened their eyes, and all they're doing is going a few miles from where they lived. More than likely, it's not. I feel like that gives you so much. Traveling gives you so much perspective, and I feel like you saw that in the kids. What you also did was Jahmal allowing himself to be shown at some of his most vulnerable moments. Here is this beacon of positivity to these kids. And in one case, what did he do? He went and he paid for a kid's cell phone bill just out of his pocket. It was like $30 or whatever, but he was just like, wanted to help this kid out. And the amount of sacrifice that he did, you could see kind of the weight on his shoulders of like, I just want to do this. This is something I can do directly. What was it just like to be around that kind of positive energy that he seemed to exude?
Yeah, well, the film also starts with Jahmal buying some of the kids in his program, ultimately the kids that we follow in the film, winter jackets. And, it wasn't staged. I got a call from Jahmal saying, hey, they called me. They said they don't have winter jackets. I'm going to go buy them some. And so, that's just the kind of person that Jahmal is. He understands that in order to reach these kids, these teenagers from these neighborhoods and these situations in which they've been neglected, not necessarily by their parents or their guardians, but by the city, by the educational system, by the government, that in order to reach them, you have to be really involved in their lives. You can't kind of come and go. So if they say, hey man, I need to have my cell phone turned back on, you got to pay the $30 to turn their cell phone back on. Otherwise they'll never call you again. If they call you and say, the power's out at my house or the heat's out at my house, can you help us? You got to help them. Otherwise they're never going to call you again. And that, is really important to Jahmal's philosophy, but it also butts up directly with, how you operate a 501c3 charity. And that's something that we explore in the film as well. Is, sorry, there's a fire engine passing my window right now. We explore kind of the intersection of Jahmal's desires to help those kids against sort of the business aspect of what it means to run a nonprofit. Especially in South and West Side neighborhoods in Chicago. And, being around Jahmal and being around that kind of positivity, it wears off on you. We had a really freak weather incident this summer here in Chicago. We had a tornado that touched down and it actually touched down on my street. And I've never heard anything like it when it hit. And when we went outside about 10 minutes later, the neighborhood was destroyed. And I rallied the neighborhood to come together and help clean up. And I called Jahmal, and Jahmal brought volunteers from all over the city. And that's, that's what he wants. He wants to spread that positivity so that he can encourage people from all over the city to do these things.
Well, I do believe that Jahmal has a political future, because that
Yes.
that sort of just being very brutally honest, but also very giving. And I don't get the sense, I really don't trust a lot of politicians on either side of the aisle. I think that their motivations are not what they presume to be.
Right.
And I feel like Jahmal, that's the kind of person that I want to see in public service. The person who is an organizer that rallies people toward a goal. One of the best examples of it from the documentary is the scene where people needed help having some snow shoveling needed to be done for people who could not do that themselves. And all he did was just a very simple, put out a social media post that blew up.
Yeah.
Do this, a bunch of people saying, I'll go shovel snow for a couple hours. Like, what? I mean, who cares, right? Just, if that is that the least I can do? Sure, I'll do that. And it turned into this incredible, I love the way that you cover it in the doc. Can you talk a little bit about that segment? And did that happen during filming, or like, how did you capture that? It was to me, that is the prime example of why there just need to be more Jahmals in this world, in the sense of that's how you solve a problem, right? Is with that direct interaction.
Yeah, it happened, organically during the filming. And we didn't even really kind of understand the scope of it until, that night after we were done filming. And he was on the front page of Reddit, and Jahmal did not know what Reddit was. Then we saw that all of these celebrities had retweeted his initial tweet in which he asked for 10 volunteers to come and help him shovel for seniors. When it snows here in Chicago, you're legally required by the city to shovel your sidewalk. And a lot of people are just not able to do that. So it's a really simple thing you can do. And the really interesting part of all of that is where the people came from. Chicago is an extremely segregated city, and it's very rare for people from the north side to go to the south side, or from the south side to go to the west side, or vice versa. So to be able to pull people from all different neighborhoods, and quite frankly, the suburbs, to the south side of Chicago, which has such a bad reputation, an unearned bad reputation, was really amazing. And so we captured what we thought was this kind of great heartwarming moment when about 50 or 100 people showed up when he originally asked for 10. But it wasn't until later on that we were kind of like, whoa, this is way bigger than just the 100 people showing up. People across the city, even if they couldn't make it down, help their neighbors. And that's ultimately what's going to be what brings about real change in Chicago.
And I think that attitude, that just knowing your neighbors and there's a problem to solve, just do it. I'm fortunate that the neighborhood that I'm in, I actually know my neighbors.
Yeah.
We'll text each other if there's an issue. We let each other know if there's a problem. We just help each other out. And that spreading that kind of attitude, I think, is just so important. I feel like though somebody's going to develop that into an app. It's going to be Uber for snow shoveling is going to happen at some point. But
people will tweet every time he does it. Like someone get this man a snowplow, or someone get this man a snowblower, and that would be great. And I'm sure he would accept it, but that defeats the purpose. It's not actually about the physical act, and of shoveling snow. It's about the reason behind it and the ability to bring people together to accomplish the task.
And also, I will just say, that the satisfaction from doing volunteer work, it's so simple. It's like, I think that the sacrifice of time is just so well worth it. So I'm just hoping that your movie and Jahmal and what he's doing now, really continues to inspire people. Can you say, the documentary's finished. It's premiering at the Slamdance Film Festival. And if you go to, I'm going to put this plug in because it involves not just to help promote your film, but all the movies playing at Slamdance. You go to slamdance.com. It's $10. It's $10. It's like subscribing to a streaming service where you're going to see a curated list of some of the best indie films that will roll out through the rest of the year, including 18th and Grand. And I have an interview with the director of the closing night film coming up later. But slamdance.com, go there and get your pass so you can see A Tiny Ripple of Hope and all the movies playing Slamdance. It's really, you can take a break from Netflix. Netflix isn't going anywhere.
Right.
You're not going anywhere.
Right.
Okay.
You get a week and a half to stream some of the best films of the year that may or may not be available to you ever again after this moment. So definitely check them out.
Okay, you just hit the nail on the head on the reason why I like to see movies at film festivals, and in particular, why I like to see documentaries, because I don't know when or if I'll ever be able to see them.
Yeah, I mean the market for documentaries is as good now as it has ever been, and it's still really difficult to get your hands on amazing documentaries for a lot of different reasons. But you can look at a film that does really well at Tribeca or at Sundance or Hot Docs, and you may never get to see it.
Right.
So take the opportunity when you can, because it's a fleeting moment often.
Well, I agree with you. I think it's also my favorite thing. I tend to gravitate toward the docs, because I'm not sure when or if I'll be able to see it, and they can take longer to come out.
Yeah.
Generally have a longer festival run. What just to wrap things up, what's Jahmal doing now? I feel like what you've captured is the beginning of his story.
Yeah. I like to say that A Tiny Ripple of Hope is Jahmal's like superhero origin story. So we captured what it really was that made the man into what he is today. And he was a very present figure during the protests over the summer after the George Floyd murder. He was a very present figure in Chicago's coronavirus response. He has been all over with the governor of Illinois, with the mayor of Chicago. He raised $1 million for small businesses here in the city. He's everywhere. And quite frankly, it seems like he has unlimited resources, but he doesn't. He certainly has more than he did when we were filming with him, but he still needs help. And so, at the end of the film, we give the website for myblock.org where you can go and make a donation or buy a hoodie. And if you buy a hoodie or a t-shirt, 100% of the proceeds go to the teenagers in his program. So I would encourage everyone to do that, no matter how big and popular and apparently rich he looks. He's not. He likes to say that he is, how does he phrase it? He says, I'm the most visible poor person in the city.
He's very low key and humble, but has this spirit that I just hope that when he becomes an elected official, I feel like he's doing more for the city than the elected officials that are there. Which
without a doubt,
just this needs to be fixed. I'm gonna fix it, right? We just need him to. I believe that he's an inspiration for this is how you should act in your community. If you see a problem, it's not like someone else's problem. It's all of our problem. And if it's fixable, why can't we just fix it? He exudes that. And I'm hoping that when at some point he moves into an elected office, he never forgets his roots. I get the sense that just seeing him over the course of a year, his journey, that's never going to happen.
No, he's going to be Jahmal. And I do think he has a career in politics, and I hope he does well. But I know that if that turns out not to be for him, he's going to make a huge difference in this city and in this world, because he can't do anything else. Like, that's just Jahmal.
Well, Jason Polevoi, thank you for talking to us on the Film Threat Podcast. Tiny Ripple of Hope playing at the Slamdance Film Festival. Go to slamdance.com. And get your it's $10, and then Jahmal's organization is again.
It's called My Block, My Hood, My City, You can find it at formyblock.org, F-O-R, myblock.org. And you can find the film on Twitter and Instagram at A Tiny Ripple Film and atinyripplefilm.com.
Jason, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.